Carl Schmitt and the left. By Withered Rose. Despite the right's affinity for Carl Schmitt, it is the left who are his rightful heirs. When we speak of Schmitt, we usually mean his friend-enemy distinction and his theory of sovereignty. Yes, he has some interesting things to say about partisans and something called the fourth nomos, but those are really for specialists. When I say the left is the rightful heir of Schmitt, I mean that, unlike the right, the left has embraced his friend-enemy distinction. According to Schmitt, all fields center around a binary: good-bad for ethics, beautiful, ugly for aesthetics, true, false for logic, etc. And the binary for politics is friend-enemy. The enemy does not have to be evil, just as the friend does not have to be good, but the enemy, to be the enemy, has to threaten your way of life. Unlike a parliamentary dispute, the enemy does simply offer a different vision of the future, but, if the enemy wins, he has the possibility of destroying your future. In America, the left takes the friend-enemy distinction very seriously, whereas the right does not. A case example is how Governor Kemp of Georgia announced that he was going to look into election fraud following the 2020 presidential election. Soon after he made this public announcement, his future son-in-law died in a car accident, which involved an explosion, and the very next day Kemp dropped the investigation. Can I say with certain that this was an IRA-style car bombing meant to ensure that Joe Biden would become president? No, I was not there. However, if the roles were reversed and a Democrat's future son-in-law died in an explosive car accident right after said Democrat, I don't know, initiated articles of impeachment against former President Trump, and then dropped the issue, it would be a safe bet that the media would frame it as a MAGA hit job. Another recent example would be how Tucker Carlson's house was doxxed and mobbed by Antifa, who chanted, "We know where you live," and, from the video, Antifa can be seen pounding on the front door with violent force. Carlson was not home, but his wife and young children were, and they thought Antifa were going to break in and hurt them. This behavior can be traced back, at least to the Weather Underground, one of many leftist terrorist organizations, who carried out 25 bombings, whose targets included the U.S. Capitol and the Pentagon. One of Barack Obama's mentors was Bill Ayers, who was a leading member of the Weather Underground. To put this into perspective, imagine if the Atomwaffen division blew up a number of high-profile government buildings, and then a future president launched his senatorial race from Brandon Russell's house, won it, and then, after years of mentorship with the former head of Atomwaffen, became the most right-wing president in years. Can you even imagine the outrage? Well, that was Obama. Unlike the right, the left in America has been more than willing to see the Republican Party, and Red America as a whole, as enemies. As enemies, the GOP must be stripped of power by any means necessary. Bomb political opposition, send mobs to threaten news anchors, and run presidents that are associated with the terrorist groups. Now, I do not say all of this to cry or complain. I do not say this to point the finger at the left this January 6th, and yell out, "You are the real bad guys." No, I am simply making a point that the left understands Carl Schmitt and has applied him well. For this they deserve some praise, even. Although I do think the 2020 election was fraudulent, Biden is in the White House and that makes him president de facto. Biden deserves the White House because the Democratic Party was willing to win, even if that meant pulling a fast Irish. Okay, I cannot end here. First, that would be depressing. Second, I want to give solutions. Lesson 1. If you are on the left, stop pretending that the right is the source of American terrorism. Yes, my side does a lot of tough talk. Yes, you can name off a handful of people like DeLeon Roof. However, can you name any of the members of the Weather Underground who bombed, not simply walked in and took selfies, the U.S. Capitol? Further, can you explain to me why the Democratic Party decided to nominate a person who was directly associated with that bombing? You cannot name a single GOP politician who was mentored by DeLeon Roof, Robert Bowers, Brenton Tarrant, or any other name you could drop, launched a campaign in one of their houses, then became president, and then accused the other team of being terrorists. Yes, we have our bad eggs. However, they do not have institutional support. Maybe you will trot out Kyle Rittenhouse, but shooting on 3 men who chased him down after he tried to run away and were beating him over the head is a bit different than bombing the Capitol or the Pentagon, right? You have terrorists, and very damn good ones. Own it and accept that your side uses violence. We need honesty. Lesson 2. If you in the GOP, or have any influence in the GOP, point these examples out to eucologues over and over again until they understand that the left will not stop until every last Republican bends its knee or is redacted. You are not in a parliamentary dispute, you are up against people who will kill you if they must. While you have political power, or when you achieve it, make it your primary goal to lock the left out of power by any means possible. I am not saying to stoop to the animalistic terrorism of the left. What I am saying is that if you can gerrymander the left out of existence or make sure your staffers are present at every place of voting, do it. If you need some muscle, maybe, while you still control Texas, cut off oil to certain parts of the country. Same thing with Alaska and Pennsylvania. Is Antifa causing trouble in the streets? If you are an attorney general, or no one, pardon any Proud Boys that show up. With a little bit of imagination, you can really mount a defense. No, this is not fascistic. That was Huey Long, and he was significantly better than what we could hope for now. This is you catching up. You have been playing by the rules of structured competition, like debate or marksmanship, while the left has been playing by the rules of warfare and espionage. Either you wake up to this fact or you will be made to kneel.